story opened with someone drawing on the ground while praying for a great being to respond to the summon. This man requested fame, fortune, power, and wealth. He was desperate since it was the only way he could cure his mother's illness, pay off their debts, and live a better life. He received 3 notifications on his phone. First is that his application for the consumer loan has been denied, and he has a current balance of $110,000, which was due in a day. His total debt amounted to 100,031,891,200 yuan. If payment is not made on time, total debt will increase by 5%. The last text message he received is from someone who was angrily looking for him. This man begged the great being to have mercy on him and care for him. He was willing to offer his humble soul and body to become his servant. He prayed to him to make him his star. Suddenly, lightning struck. It made the man fall on his back. He eventually gained his consciousness. His head hurts. He was also confused because he knew that the last thing he was doing was working on a project at the office. He hurried since he still has unfinished work. But he was surprised when he saw his reflection in a puddle. He was confused if that was really him. He questioned why his face looked like that. He was even more surprised when he saw what's ahead of him. It was a gigantic, almost translucent magical tree. He had no idea where he was. Suddenly, someone congratulated him. His eyes widened in shock. The great being told him that he successfully summoned him, and as a reward, he may make 3 wishes. It could be anything. His jaw dropped when he saw a talking book. He yelled that it doesn't even exist on Earth. It made him start believing that he really transmigrated. He realized it was his cheat, but he thinks that 3 wishes is a bit low since he had seen others have some unlimited use. He stated his first cheat, to be granted 10 more wishes. The book was amused. It suddenly emitted dark energy around it while stating that it thought that there was a problem with the contract, but it realized that it wasn't the case. The man looked terrified upon seeing this creature towering over him. The great being showed his true form, a gigantic monster-like creature that looked terrifying. He realized that there was a new soul in the man's body. The man turned pale and asked him what he was and what he meant. The great being replied that he's not worthy of knowing who he was. He only needs to know that the original owner of the body used his soul and body to make a wish to him. He explained that he took the soul, but the body should belong to him, and yet this new soul occupied it, which led him to think that the soul in the body should be owned by him too. He wasn't happy about how he was transported. What's worse is that what he thought was a cheat to help him was something that would possess him instead. He knew he had to run right away. But the great being had something to tell him, that once a contract was formed, even the slightest intent to break it will bring excruciating torment as punishment. He screamed loudly in agony as fire engulfs his body. The great being was disappointed to see that it was just a weak soul after all. He wanted it to just die already. But our MC spoke about the content of the contract. He stated that if the breach of contract is caused by force majeure, then Party B is exempt from liability, and if he can't fulfill the contract because of his interference, it will be the great being's responsibility. Therefore, he knew he couldn't be killed because of breach of contract. The great being was dumbfounded that a mere mortal wanted to talk about rules with him. The man knew that he was a powerful being, and he could have easily taken his life, but he didn't, which led him to think that the man was testing him. He concludes that he was testing him for a suitable candidate. He asked him if he qualifies to sign a new contract with him. It made the great being laugh out loud. He finds the man very interesting. He was the first one who dared to negotiate with him. Since the boy piqued his interest, he offered him the contract. He had decided that if he could grant him 1 wish in exchange, he would give him a new life. And the great being's wish was 999 more wishes. Then he pressured the man by saying that he doesn't have much time to think. The man muttered that he's so shameless or copying his wish. The great being reminded him that he has 1 minute before he loses consciousness and dies. Then he asked him if he had made up his mind. Of course, the man had no other choice. He signed the soul contract wherein it stated that the contractor pledges with their soul that in that life they shall devote loyalty to the contract holder and must fulfill 999 conditions set by the contract holder. The contract holder may grant rewards when conditions are met. This was signed by the contractor, Joe Chen. Later that night, Chen found his home. His clothes were all tattered like a homeless person, so he hoped that no one saw him like that. He couldn't believe that bastard boss dumped him there like that. He was told earlier that the boss would find him when he needs him, but in the meantime, he can do whatever he wants. He expected to be working like a mule, but he had no choice but to obey the boss. And there was no point complaining now. He decided to take it 1 step at a time. He unlocked the door, and when he looked inside, it was dark. He looked around and saw that no one was home, so it made him think that the family situation was even worse than he thought. To his surprise, there was a blood loan collateral from Zumel all at once. It made him curious about what's going on with that family. Suddenly, someone yelled, "Hey, you brat!" Then he was hit on the head with a pipe. The man asked him where he had been all this time. He was angry that the brat ignored all his calls. The man had 2 lackeys with him. He was furious that the brat complained about being sick of living. The man on his left tried to remind him not to beat the guy to death, while the other one on his left told him that it was fine since the kid's tough as nails. Chen asked them who they are. The man beat him up while asking him if he had already forgotten the loan from last week. Then he asked why the woman hadn't shown up to sell blood to pay his debt. He wondered if she died somewhere. Then he commented that the brat's mom was a moron for willingly risking her life to take out high-interest loans for trash like him. He drilled into him that trash will always be trash. He pointed out how someone born as trash, a talentless trash, kept dreaming about turning things around, and all that debt just got him barely to the lowest profit rank. He stated that the brat and the old hag were not even worthy to carry his shoes. There was a time when he was asked if he wanted to give up being a prophet. He replied to his mother yes, because he doesn't want her to suffer anymore. He shared that he had a nightmare last night that his mom had to do handwork every day until she collapsed from exhaustion and never got up again. He doesn't want her mom to end up like that. He was worried that she would never wake up one day, and that he might not become a prophet, but his mother assured him that it will be okay. She promised him that even if the sky falls, she would hold it up, and advised him that he only needs to believe in himself more. After remembering that, his eyes glowed brightly. The man called his attention and asked why he isn't saying anything. Suddenly, the man's face met the brat's fist. It threw him on the other side of the room. The other man who had his back turned told him to stop because the kid might die if he kept hitting him. But to their surprise, the man flew past them. After receiving that blow, the man broke most of his teeth and lost consciousness. His friends were confused because it was supposed to be the kid in that state. They realized something was wrong. Then they saw the aura of the kid, and they couldn't believe that he broke through to star level. Chen asked them what's wrong with wanting to rise from the bottom. He told them to shut up because they were annoying, especially with their whiny crap. The men were annoyed with his arrogant behavior, despite being just an E-class stage 2. The other man urged him to teach the brat a lesson. They thought about crippling one of the brat's limbs. Chen wondered if the oracle in E-class stage 2 they're talking about was the power inside him. And judging from their behavior, he expects that their level was higher than his. The man charged at him, but he could clearly see all their movements. The man tried to hit him, but left a dent on the floor instead. He wondered where he was. To his surprise, Chen appeared behind him and kicked him down. The other man couldn't believe he could do that when he's just an E-class stage 2. He wondered how he could be that fast and strong. He positioned on Chen's blind spot to break his ribs, but Chen kicked backwards and hit him on the chest. He was surprised that Chen knew about it without even looking at his position. He wondered how Chen became so strong. When Chen approached him, he begged to be spared. He reasoned that they were just following orders from Lin Yu. They were told to come collect the debt. Chen asked about Lin Yu. He instructed the man to tell Yu that he will pay back the debt. Then he wanted him to take others and get lost. The man ushered them out. Chen watched them. He knew that the boss was just watching. The boss was impressed that he could sense his presence with his sharp intuition. Chen replied that he felt a strange power inside him, so he figured that he was getting help from him in secret. The boss replied that he was right. Had he not lent him a bit of power just then, he'd probably be nothing but a meat paste, so he should be grateful. Chen was pleased to have confirmed that the boss was his golden finger. He stated that if he could lend his power all the time, he'd be afraid of no one. The boss told him that he's dreaming. He uttered that his power wasn't something a mere mortal like him can use. He told him that he just got lucky that he didn't exceed the limit. Otherwise, he would have dropped dead before they even touched him. Chen was shocked to find out that working for him doesn't come with any perks. He suggested that if he became stronger, it would be easier to complete his wishes. The boss assured him that according to the contract, he will give him a helpful reward. But he hasn't thought of what it will be yet. Though he clarified that if he's thinking of borrowing his power again, he should forget it, unless he has a death wish. Chen wasn't happy with it, but he agreed to it. Deep inside, the boss was thinking how the kid exceeded his expectations. Not only did he borrow more power than he expected, he controlled it pretty well too. He wondered if he's his fated point. Chen asked him if he had decided on his second wish. The boss was confused, so he elaborated that he mentioned that he wanted him to help fulfill his wishes. The boss replied that he hadn't thought about it yet, but he stated that he had plenty of wishes already, and when the time is right, Chen would understand it. Chen asked him what he's supposed to do now. He replied that he can do whatever he wants. Chen seemed frustrated with his answer, mainly because he knew nothing about the world, and there was so much to figure out. He was hoping that he would make a wish and give him some direction, but he could tell that it's not going to happen. He checked the previous owner's phone, which he found on the rooftop. He knew that if he's going to live as that guy from then on, he should learn more about him. He saw that all the messages are all about debts and online purchases for things like supplements. It made him realize that being a prophet cost a lot. He also observed that there's not a single message about his family. Until a single message shook him. It was from his big sister, who informed him that their mother fell into a coma and was hospitalized. She told him to go to Tianlin Hospital. At Tianlin Hospital. He arrived full of worry. He saw a woman sitting by the foot of the bed. He could tell that the atmosphere's a little awkward, but he could understand that anyone would be mad if something important as that would be ignored. He guessed that the woman sitting with her shoulder hunched was his sister, Zhou Yueqing, and the person in the hospital bed was his mom. When he saw her, he couldn't help but think she looked different from his memories. He wondered if it was because of him. He apologized to her sister for being late, then asked her how she was. She asked him what his excuse was this time. She asked if it was a training, a breakthrough, or could it be that he's busy summoning gods and doing things? That made him speechless. She stated that their mom worked hard to pay his debts until the moment she collapsed. It made her angry that he couldn't even come see her once when she gave him everything. She yelled that his whole family gave him everything. She added that just to pay his debts, their mom couldn't even afford the ICU. She pulled through with sheer willpower, and their mom almost died. Her tears fell, and with a resigned body language, she expressed that her and their mom were both tired. She gave him a card with 6 months of living expenses and told him that from then on, she'll take care of mom and it would have nothing to do with him. Then she told him to pay the rest of his debt himself, because it would have nothing to do with them anymore. He was surprised and slightly fearful of what it meant. Then her sister made it clear that she's cutting ties with him. When he went outside the hospital, the boss expressed that he could feel his anxiety. He asked if that woman's words hit him hard. But he pointed out how that woman was practically a stranger to him, and the reality wasn't even his fault. Chen commented that he didn't expect the boss to be the comforting type. Then he told him that he's fine, and was just reminded of his past. Back then, he was the same, wanting to say something but not being able to get a word out. The boss told him not to let the mess delay his wish. Chen confirmed with him that if he had proven his value to him, he would help him grow stronger. And as long as he becomes strong enough, he can make up for all of this. The boss promised him that as long as he proves his worth. The boss thought about him being his fated point. He hoped that kid wouldn't bring him down. At Right City Yaoye Club, specifically in the presidential suite, someone stated that the profits they got weren't bad, so they will keep increasing investment. This was from a man wearing shades with a cigar on his mouth and girls on each of his arms. He also added to contact them and speed up the recovery progress because the higher-ups won't last long. His subordinate understood it and had one more thing to report. According to their investigation, someone from Area A's organization had trouble collecting rent, and 3 people were injured by a student. The boss remembers that there's still time before debt collection starts over there. He assumed that those bastards were trying to pocket some extra cash. He complained that it's because of that self-serving trash that fewer and fewer people were coming to him for loans. He told his man to handle it according to rules. His subordinate agreed to punish them, but also stated that it was a special case, because among them were level 3 and level 2 apprentice class thieves. According to the report, the one who hurt them was just a student who just broke through apprentice level 2. The boss asked who it was, and he was given a document. It contained Chen's profile. He couldn't believe that a mere level 2 kid beat both level 3 and level 2. Even the weakest level 3 can handle 10 level 2 5s. He knew that the gap in levels can't be bridged by skill alone. He estimated that the kid's true strength might also be level 3. He finds him interesting for trying to hide his strength. He told his men to keep an eye on him since he doesn't want to waste a talent like that. The next day, Chen was jogging around the neighborhood when an old man noticed him. The old man was impressed that he had been up early these days. Chen greeted him back. Then the old man told him that he just got a few batches of A-grade beginner Starlight supplements, only for 400 per bottle. He asked if he wanted some. Chen refused, since he still had some, but he promised him that he would come to him once he ran out. The old man promised him a discount when he did. The old man noticed how he seemed more cheerful than before. He wondered if he got a girlfriend. After Chen left the hospital, he spent a few days getting used to the body and researching. With some of the original owner's memories fusing into his own, he gained a general understanding of that world's basics. People there took special supplements regularly to gain power, and these people are collectively called oracles. The medicine to become a speaker was extremely expensive, and that's the reason he ended up in such a massive debt. He doesn't know what the upper limit was, but he's certain on one thing, that even the lowest rank oracles are far stronger than normal people. After his workout, he muttered that if just taking medicine can make a person stronger, it was no wonder that people spent a fortune to become oracles. Back in his old life, he'd have had to train forever to get results like that. Suddenly, his phone rang. He wondered who could be calling that early. A loud voice blared through his oracles. It was the class rep, and he was reminded that his leave was over. The teacher asked the rep to tell him to come back to class. The rep called him last night too, so he hoped that he didn't forget. Chen replied that he didn't forget, but deep inside, he almost forgot about it. At Reitlon High School. The teacher finished discussing the history of oracles, so now they would be talking about their impact on the economy. Chen took down notes. A speaker's status was determined by strength and ranked by title. There's grade E with ranks 1 to 6, grade D with ranks 1 to 8, grade B with ranks 1-12, grade A with ranks 1-14, and lastly, grade S. They must reach the highest level of the current title to break through the next. It was said that those who reached grade S were basically like gods. To match their power, the world was divided into 5 strata. Ordinary people in grade E oracles were in the 5th layer called the outer layer, the very bottom. The 4th layer and above make up the central city strata, symbolizing power and status. Only those grade D and up were allowed in. Chen was currently at the lowest, E grade. If he wanted better resources, he had to get into the central city strata. He made leveling up fast his top priority. Someone threw a pebble on him. He glanced behind him and the bullies were having fun teasing him. They challenged him if he thinks he's hot stuff just because he ranked high on the written test. The other bully replied that they were all at level 1, so it would be easy to knock him out with just a single punch. Chen could only think how there were people like that no matter where he went. The teacher reminded them that there's a fitness test in PE later, so they should change and go on the field. At Right Speaker High Field. In the speaker program, most of the day was just PE class. Chen thinks the curriculum was way too chill. Unexpectedly, someone called out to him. A student elbowed his friend and told him that a fight was about to break out. Seeing that it was those two again, they weren't surprised. The student asked if those bullies don't ever get tired because he had done that several times already, just for that month. His friend warned him not to speak anymore, otherwise he could be targeted next. The bully grabbed Chen's collar and asked him if he enjoys glaring. It had been a few days, and he was still acting tough. The bully told Chen that it didn't matter if his written test scores were good. He mocked him by asking if he's planning to talk to his opponents later. The bully reminded him that in the world of oracles, it was all about levels and powers, and based on his strength, he was just a level 1 piece of trash. Chen answered that by logic, the bully was a level 1 trash too. The bully was caught off guard. That response infuriated him. He was about to punch Chen while screaming that he's going to tear apart his mouth. Chen blocked his fist and asked him if he's done talking. The bully's eyes widened in shock. He was confused about Hat's going on, especially that he can't break free. He wondered if Chen had always been that tall. Chen reminded him of what he said. Everything is power. Then he stated that it's his time to tear his mouth apart now. The bully got scared. Chen released aura from his body as he towered over the bully. But Chen got distracted from an overwhelming pressure. Someone said that he got guts. The teacher asked him who gave them permission to make a scene in his class. This was their PE teacher, Tian Jijia, a grade D level 5. Jijia was annoyed with Chen because he just came back and was already causing trouble. Chen, however, calmly and maturely replied that they were just having a friendly spar. Then he lets the bully go. That was Jiha's first warning to him, and if he messes up again, he could expect him to be rude. Then he gathered everyone for the test. Jijia announced to everyone that they only have 3 months until the graduation exam, and the exchange tournament after graduation was even more important. If they do well in the exchange tournament, not only will they bring glory to the school, they will also get a chance to enter a prestigious academy. And to ensure a strong finish, he specially prepared imported grade A beginner supplements. He sold it for $6,000 so everyone could get a good result. Then they started training. A student did pull up, and at the 24 counts, he couldn't go on further, while the other one was so pumped up that he already reached 50. Chen was just watching, wondering if that was all Oracle's test all about. He thought it was something special. Someone approached him and asked if he's all right. It was the class rep. She was worried because he suddenly took several days off, so she thought something happened to him. She got embarrassed and clarified that she didn't mean to be nosy. It was just that she finds it strange to take a leave so close to graduation. Chen told her he's fine and thanked her for caring. Then she asked him if he wasn't buying the teacher's supplements. He replied that he's out of money. But in his head, he wonders if those expensive supplements were something everyone buys. He's curious if the only one broke in the class. She was worried that if he didn't buy it, it would have an effect on his test result. Suddenly, someone called out to her, Liu Tian Tian. She said goodbye to him, and then she did the pull-ups. She had a really hard time and her body trembled badly. While she was doing that, Jijia was checking that 25 students bought 2 supplements. When Tiantian reached 35 pull-ups, he told her that she passed. Chen had observed that the students who bought such expensive supplements received special treatment from the teacher in return. With graduation near, it was understandable that they wanted better scores. But he knew that with his current ability, he probably doesn't need it, and he doesn't have any money left either. Then the last one was called Zhou Chen. The teacher saw that he didn't buy a single bottle of his supplement. He doubted that he would pass without his supplements. He decided to deduct some points to make him fail and use him as an example. Chen inspected the pull-up bar and wrist guards, and it looked normal. But he was cautious that there might be something different about the Oracle's test. He grabbed the bar, and to his surprise, his body suddenly got heavier, and the more strength he uses, the heavier it gets. He wondered if it was because of the crystal on the wrist. Just as he expected, the Oracle's test wasn't that simple. He could tell that the applied weight has a limit, and with his current strength, it was very easy to adapt. It was a rare opportunity, so he tested his limits. Everyone who saw him was shocked at how strong he was. He just did almost 100 in one go, when he barely managed to do 30 before. His current score would equate to a 2nd rank. One student shared that when he saw the elite class 2nd rank, it was basically like that. Chen was done, so he hopped down. His classmates surrounded him and expressed that he was amazing. They told him that with his scores, he could join the elite class. They inquired when he ranked up to 2nd and what was his supplement. The teacher was also curious on how he suddenly improved so much. He wondered if he used enhancers. But he knew enhancers were too expensive for normal people, and using one there would be too extravagant. He wondered if he really reached 2nd rank in the last few days. He got worried that the students would find out that he ranked up without his help because he would no longer be able to sell them. He was resentful towards him since he would cut off his profits, and he wouldn't allow that. He was determined to teach him a valuable social lesson. Meanwhile, at the principal's office, someone was surprised to learn that the exchange meet had canceled the 2nd rank matches. The principal was on the phone, and he expressed that for a school like theirs, that gets no support and has no resources, producing a 3rd rank was so hard. The person on the other line empathized with him, but also explained that the government urgently needs more Oracle elites. That's why they decided to shift funding to the top-ranked schools. It was a decision from above that there was nothing they could do about. The principal tried to ask if there's another way, but the person already hung up. He slammed the phone back. It was such a headache for him, because the elite class's drug supplies and equipment require massive funding, and their school barely has enough resources to maintain a 2nd rank level. In addition, there were only 3 months left before the exchange, so he wondered where they would find a 3rd rank student. He thought about pooling all their resources and gamble on 1 3rd rank, but that means expelling a bunch of average performing students. He looked at the crystal on the shelf and asked loudly from his senior what he should do. He was worried that the right Oracle Academy was going to fall during his term. Suddenly, someone knocked on his door. It was Jijia. He invited him in. Jijia handed the results of the test to him. Jijia even expressed that the performance was excellent, and he believed that the class will produce outstanding oracles. When he saw the results, he questioned in his head why Jijia already called that excellent when it was only 1st rank. Those useless trash can't be sent to the field. Then Jijia mentioned that there's one exemption that he thinks wasn't fit to be an oracle. He asked who. Jijia replied that it was Chen. So Chen was called to the principal's office. The great being asked him what he did for the principal to call him. He replied that he had no idea. Our MC had heard that the principal's personality was strict, so he knew he wasn't called just for a chit-chat. He just hoped that it wasn't that bad. When he touched the door, a small kindle of flame appeared. He was surprised to see it, but it looks like the boss was expecting it. He told Chen that it was the specific condition that triggered the wish that he talked about, which means something he wants was nearby, so Chen better find it. Chen asked why it had to show up now. The boss replied that the wish was triggered, so there's no choice. Unless he wants to get burned, he should do it quietly. The principal asked him why he's just standing there and urged him to come in. He entered and greeted the principal. The principal told him that his physical report wasn't bad. It was actually commendable since it was close to 2nd rank. But as for skipping class, talking back to teachers, beating up his classmates, he could tell that Chen was young and hot-blooded. But that was all irrelevant. He asked Chen if he knew what's most important for an oracle. It was money. So he advised him to give up being an oracle. Chen turned pale. He clarified if the principal was saying that he wants him to drop out. The principal replied that he's right, and he should understand that the cost of being an oracle later would be extremely high, and given his family situation, he suggested that rather than pouring everything into something that might fail, it was better to cut his losses early. The principal knew that based on Chen's physical test results, he could get into the special class, but with the school on the brink of survival, instead of letting a mediocre student into a special class, it was better to focus on resources on nurturing valuable students. So he thought that if they can cultivate even one level 3 student before the exchange competition, there might still be hope. Then he told Chen that if he agrees, they can refund his tuition. He added that he doesn't even have to come tomorrow. He asked what he thought about it. While they were talking, the great being in a book form noticed something. It was the black crystal on the shelf. He told the kid that he found the target, so he should hurry up and get it for him. Chen replied that he's already struggling himself and suggested that he grabs it then. The boss replied that if he could, he would have done it already, but the contract stipulates that it must completely belong to Chen for him to obtain it. Chen was in a troublesome situation. He had to go to the middle city to repay the debt, but going there requires D-level and also an Oracle graduation certificate. And that school was the only Oracle high school in the city. For the graduation certificate and the crystal, he shouldn't be expelled. He took a deep breath to calm himself down. He knew it wasn't a dead end yet. As far as he remembers, since the founding of Light Yuzhui, students have only reached E2 level at most. That means to the school, a student above level 2 is without a doubt extremely valuable. So, if he's already at E2 level, he knew he could level up right away. He remembered that the boss said before that there was a reward that could help with his wish. He told the boss that if he hadn't decided yet, he could choose it himself instead. The boss replied yes. The boss had sensed what he wanted. The reward that he requested was borrowed power. The boss refused him because his body can't handle any more of his power. Chen just got lucky that he didn't explode before. Chen replied that he cannot afford to be expelled there, because if he gets expelled, it would be a long time for another chance to reach the middle city, and the boss's wish might not come true either. He told the boss to trust him. The boss was left speechless. Then he told him that whatever happens, it's not his problem. The contract appeared stating that the contractor grants the contractee the reward, which means the contractee can borrow from the contractor anytime, anywhere, and all consequences were borne by the contractee. Contractee accepted that. Given that he was just standing there, it prompted the principal to ask if he still needed something. He requested that the principal test his score again and then decide whether he gets to stay or leave. The principal accepted it and offered his hand. Through that handshake, the principal evaluated that he's level 2, higher than what the report suggested, but it was still far from enough. Meanwhile, Chen was thinking that he only had one chance, and he's uncertain on how far he could go. So he wanted to get as much power as possible. The aura around his hand brightened. The principal was surprised. The aura became overwhelming. Even the boss didn't expect that the kid's outburst would be much stronger than what he had given him. The principal was taken aback and curious on how his level suddenly soared. In an instant, he became a full level 4. Chen asked him what he thinks now. The principal realized that heaven never seals all paths. He requested Chen to represent their school in the district exchange competition. Chen was dumbfounded. They sat down for a chat. Basically, the principal wanted him to join the district exchange competition level 4 group to show results to the Ministry of Education. The principal explained that competing in the level group was the highest honor for all the Yuzhe high schools. Their school has been ranked at the bottom for years, and if they don't show some results soon, the ministry will cut funding, so they wanted to focus teacher resources on promising students, and that is why they misunderstood him. He hoped that he wasn't upset. Chen replied that he understands. The principal was happy to hear that. And to show their apologies, Chen's tuition fees will be waived. After transferring to the special class, his weekly supply of beginner star energy supplements will increase from 3 to 6. He asked Chen what he thinks of that, and if there's anything else that he needs, the school will try to meet them. He told Chen that as an outstanding student, he will be welcomed anywhere, but he still sincerely hoped he considers representing their school in the exchange competition. And not to exaggerate, but he told him that his decision would determine the survival of the school. Since the principal was offering that much, he realized that it must be important to him. Chen asked what he would do if he wanted the black crystal on the cabinet. The principal explained that it was crafted from a special star crystal the former principal brought back from the middle city. It doesn't have much use, but it symbolizes the school's spirit. But he knew that if the school was gone, the spirit would mean nothing. So if Chen could save the school, giving it to him was completely justified. Chen assured him that he will do his best in the exchange competition. With that, the deal was settled. However, the principal was curious on how his level rose so much so quickly. He replied that he was training to hide his power. He shared that it was sort of a special training technique, and he was still practicing it, so he hoped that the principal could keep his level a secret. The principal understood. It was because the principal knew that hiding one's level is a technique users use in battle to confuse opponents. He didn't expect such awareness from someone so young. He assured him that he won't tell anyone. He expressed how assured he was to leave the future in Chen's hands. Then a woman came in. He instructed her to take Chen to the special class at once and handle the supplements as he requested. She ushered Chen and explained that the entire second floor is for the special class. Next thing they would do is to register. Chen thanked the teacher. She was curious about his relationship with the principal because she had never seen him so happy. Chen simply replied that they just got along. Meanwhile, someone was running at full speed towards Chen. The man grabbed Che's arms and told him that he really tried his best to plead with the principal, but in the end, he couldn't change his mind. He argues that even if his grades were average, he still has the right to learn. He hoped that after Chen dropped out, he would keep working hard and not give up. The teacher asked him what he's talking about. She clarified that he's transferring to the special class tomorrow, and he was just about to take him to register. Then she told Jijia that the principal wanted to see him. She also shared that the principal was very angry. He knew he was screwed. Nighttime came. Chen was back in his room. He laid on the bed thinking that he had to go from level 2 to 4 in 3 months, and he had no idea how to do that. Even rich prodigies take tons of money and time to level up just once. A poor guy like him leveling up twice in 3 months seemed impossible. He asked the boss if there was a way he could level up all at once by himself. The boss asked him how there could be. And if he wanted his help again, he had to fulfill his wish first. He told him to blame himself for picking such a reward. Our boy replied that he had no choice because it was the only method he could think of at that time. The boss emphasized that he warned him already that he won't be able to use his power for long before it drains him away. Chen knew that. He's not dumb enough to rely on borrowed power to win the tournament, and he achieved great results. He wasn't expelled, and he can freeload supplements. It was better than where he first started. Then leveling up can come slowly. But his focus for now is the debt due in 5 days. He had to figure out how to make some money. At the school. Chen appeared to be disgusted. He also had no idea what was going on. It looked like an abandoned factory. Then someone approached him. The man waved at him and told him to come there. He noticed that Chen wasn't around during roll call, so he figured that he might have gotten lost. He was in charge of the whole class, and it was difficult to manage everything, so he apologized for the oversight. He introduced himself as Mr. Zhang, the elite class homeroom teacher. Chen expected the teacher of the elite class to be super strict, but he was surprisingly easygoing. He was curious if there were no other teachers in elite classes. He replied yes. They had 3 academic teachers, but he's the only one who handles training. He stated that student numbers were dropping, and students good enough to join the elite class were even fewer, so they haven't hired new instructors. He added that they usually use the innermost area for classes and training, and the outside has been idle for years and just fell apart. Chen realized that the school was in bad shape, so no wonder the principal was anxious. Mr. Zhang assured him of everything by saying that a skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. He had faith that the place wouldn't close down. They entered the training room. Mr. Zhang told him that they were currently having a free training session. He took him to meet the class. Chen now understood why they were called elite class and were leagues above the training yard. It was basically a high-end gym and the students seemed motivated. But he could sense that the atmosphere was a bit tense. Mr. Zhang gathered everyone to introduce their new classmate. He introduced Chen to them, and though he was a bit late, it was fine since the elite class always values strength above all, so he trusts that Chen must have some real skills to get in. He hoped that they all get along and do well in the upcoming exchange competition. One student from the back expressed that he doubted that it was because of skills. He was insinuating that he got through the back door. He added that he could just bring the whole elite class down. Mr. Zhang told this guy named Ma Wenhao to watch his words. He emphasized that Chen entered through proper procedures, so he better stop spreading rumors. Wenhao replied that whether it was a rumor or not, they will find out soon enough. He formally challenged Chen. The crowd was shocked because it has been ages since they had that. Unlike friendly sparring, a formal challenge was fought with full dignity on the line. They say that the loser has to serve the winner without complaint. And Wenhao's the strongest among them. They couldn't believe that he's bullying a newbie. A blonde guy nearby asked a pink-haired girl what the commotion was all about. The pink-haired girl replied that the transfer student was about to fight Ma Wenhao. He didn't know about the transfer student. Mr. Zhang replied that a formal challenge does not count unless the other side accepts. But to his surprise, Cheng accepted. He stated that if it was a friendly challenge and not life-threatening, then he'll accept the challenge. In his head, it was a good chance to test how he compares with the others and a perfect preparation for the exchange competition. The principal had heard about it. It was reported to him via phone call that Chen was going to fight someone. It was Mr. Zhang who reported. He explained that Wenhao issued a formal challenge and Chen accepted it. He was in panic, especially when neither of them would back down and the other students were crowding around cheering. It was getting out of hand. They urged Wenhao to show the newbie who's the boss. The principal thought about it, and since Chen was supposed to be practicing hidden level training, it was a good chance to test his strength. So he told Zhang to set up the arena as he approves the challenge. Mr. Zhang officiated the match, and since it was Chen's first time in that kind of match, he went over the rules briefly. The rules for a formal challenge are the same as the exchange competition, which means that the arena is for 2 people only and no help from spectators were allowed. Anyone who interferes will be expelled, and both must be of the same level and no cross-level challenges. Wenhao noted that Chen was rank 2. Mr. Zhang emphasized that it was just a friendly spar, and there shouldn't be any attacks on vulnerable parts of the body, and no killing moves were allowed, or private revenge afterward. A hit on the face or voluntary surrender equals defeat. And they began. Wenhao charges in. His plan was to strike fast and catch him off guard. He wanted to win in one move. Chen expected him to charge right in. He blocked his arm, which surprised Wenhao. He couldn't believe that he reacted that fast. He kept punching, but Chen skillfully evaded it. He was bothered that Chen evaded like a rat, so he planned on finding a way to restrict his movement. He moved at the speed of light. Chen was caught off guard and had been hit on his forearm. Wenhao's hook and wind kick can shift mid-strike, so even if Chen blocked it, the impact will still knock him down. While Chen was on the ground, he attacked again. Chen glared at him. Then he released his aura and counterattacked with a fast and powerful kick. Wenhao was taken aback that he could use combat techniques too. He willed himself to stay calm, and as long as he didn't get hit in the face, he knew he wouldn't lose. He thought he still had a chance, but Chen's fist gently hit his nose. Chen told him that a hit on the face counts. He was speechless. Mr. Zhang declared Chen the winner. Wenhao couldn't believe that he lost. Even the other students thought the same, but they realized that the new guy was way too strong. In Chen's head, the match ended way quicker, but he got a feel of it. He asked Wenhao if he no longer has complaints. Mr. Zhang was overwhelmed too. Wenhao received professional training, but he didn't expect him to get crushed that badly from Chen, who has no formal training but his physical ability, and on the spot, reflexes were excellent. He realized that he was a great combat-type prospect, so it was no wonder that the principal asked them to keep a close eye on him. Unexpectedly, the principal showed up. He called Chen for a moment since he had something to say to him. The pink-haired girl asked the blonde guy if he saw that. She couldn't believe that the newbie was pretty strong. The blonde guy stated that someone that strong has to become one of their underlings. The principal asked him how he was being in the elite class. He replied that it was pretty good, and his classmates were a bit too enthusiastic. The principal let out a small laugh and replied that powerful oracles always get more attention, so he'll get used to it. He told him that from then on he should focus on training, and if he needs anything, the school will help however they can. Since Chen could tell that the principal trusts him already, he now thinks it's time to ask about making money. So he asked the principal if students had a way to make money quickly. The principal told him that at his age, he shouldn't worry about that, and he should focus on his training. Instead, then he'll have chances to make big money in the future. And if his family was in trouble, the school would cover some expenses. He replied that he was just casually asking, but deep inside he knew he had to think of something else instead. Back at the training room. He was training lightly while thinking that taking out student loans gets heavily punished there, so he better be careful not to get caught. He kept thinking about how he could make money when someone approached him. It was the blonde guy. He wrapped his shoulder around Chen and told him that the match was awesome, and he even got to talk to the principal directly. It made him question who he truly was. Chen asked him the same question. Someone called the blonde guy Shen Jirui and told him that he was being rude. It was the pink-haired girl. She apologized for his behavior and clarified that he doesn't mean anything bad. She introduced herself as Su Xiaoxia, then she introduced Jirui. She told him that they are technically his seniors, so if he has questions, he could ask them. Jirui concluded that they were a 3-person team now, and as the leader, he will take good care of him. Deep inside, Chen was thinking that they're weird. Jirui asked him where he learned the move that he used earlier. Chen had no idea what he's talking about. The blonde boy was surprised that he didn't know what a combat technique was. What's more surprising is that the move that he used was just based on reflexes. He commented that it was brutal and Wenhao would go nuts when he found out. He had been showing off that technique everywhere since he learned it, but turns out he was a poser. Xiaoxia volunteered to explain. She informed him that combat techniques were powerful special moves and prophets can learn them via scrolls or memory stones. Their effects and power varies depending on mastery. There were many kinds of combat techniques. Strong prophets tailor their technique sets to their combat style. The move Wenhao used on him during the match was a D-rank technique called hook wind kick. After learning that, Chen wasn't surprised that he couldn't block it. He thought that if he has combat techniques too, he might have a better shot at the inter-class exchange match. He asked if combat techniques were rare. Jiaru replied it was pretty much like that. It was also ranked, and the stronger it was, the rarer it got. He explained that the school teaches basic ones, but for powerful techniques, they usually need to buy them or have a big shot to share one. The market price for an ordinary D-rank technique was around 500,000. Chen was shocked to hear that because that's several months of loan payment. Jiaru told him that he had some, too. They should spar next time so he could show him. Xiaoxia had one too. To Chen, it sounded like they casually have 500,000 tier stuff. He heard that joining the advanced class was super expensive, so the kids there must have been extremely rich. But a thought dawned on him. If they were from wealthy families, he could ask them about making money. He told them that he wanted to buy a technique but didn't have money, so he asked them if there was a way he could make quick money. Jiaru suggested robbing banks. He replied that, except for that. Talking about fast, high earning, and no rules, only Blackwater Zone Miracle Land comes to Jaru's mind. Xiaoxia bonked him and told him to stop misleading the guy, and if the teachers heard him, he'll be scolded. But Chen was intrigued. Jarui took back what he said because he heard all sorts of stuff happens there, and the school strictly forbids students from going. If he gets caught, he will be automatically expelled. He asked him how short he was for the technique. Chen replied that it's about 300,000. They were surprised to know that it was that much. They checked their bank accounts and they didn't have that much. Chen thought about it, and desperate times called for desperate measures, so he decided to check it out after school, at Blackwater Road. He checked his phone. The navigation says it was right there, but it was an empty street with eerie vibes. Though it wasn't far from his home, he changed out of his school uniform before leaving so no one would recognize him. He asked the boss what he thought of the place. There was no response, so he assumed that the boss wasn't there. He didn't bother much, and since the outer zone oracles aren't very high level, he knew he'd be fine alone. He's at tier 4 power, and even if something happens, he could escape. But he couldn't help but notice how the place looked abandoned ages ago. It made him doubt if there really was a miracle land. Then he noticed some footsteps, which means that someone has been walking around there recently. Then he saw the secret passage. He walked towards it. Unbeknownst to him, some man saw him head there. And they have murder gazes. His eyes widened when he stepped inside. It was a bright, bustling place. The streets were filthy. There were illegal trades happening. No wonder everyone avoids talking about that place. It was practically lawless. If there's profit, anything goes. But it also made him think that there's a way to make money before the due date. But before that... He looked behind him and asked how long they were going to follow him. Those men came out and commended his sharp instincts. They planned to knock him out and take him away, but since he noticed, they'll just have to rough him up a bit. Chen asked why. They thought he was pretending, but the man stated that he saw plenty of rich kids in disguise going there for the thrill, and if they kidnap him for ransom, they will be rich. That was so lame, and it showed in Chen's expression. The man placed an arm over his shoulder and slapped his cheek. He was happy that Chen froze from terror. He told him to cooperate, pay the ransom, and he'll consider letting him live. Chen told the guy that he was rude. Then in one smack at the back of the head, the man fell face down on the ground. Everyone was surprised that he got knocked out. The other two men took out their knives to teach him a lesson. They charged at him. 2 crate boxes came flying and hit them on the back of their heads. Chen was confused. Then someone appeared in front of him. His hand was grabbed. The woman under the hoodie told him to come with her. Then she dragged him away. They arrived at a certain place where she thought they would be safe. Chen thanked her for saving him, but deep inside, he actually has questions for those two. The woman knew him and asked why he's there. The woman forgot she had to stay undercover. Chen asked her if they knew each other. But to her surprise, he doesn't remember her, so she told him no. She just stated that she saw his name. It was on his collar. He was surprised to learn that it was there, but at the same time, he was also relieved that she didn't know him. She thanked him for telling him. She was thinking how she blew her cover and was glad that she played it off. She reminded him not to expose his info so casually in the Blackwater district because it's dangerous. She offered to guide him out, but he refused because he had urgent business. He knew that if she finds out that he's a student, he's doomed. The woman was certain that he's still Chen, even after all those years. She wondered if he really forgot about her, or if he was faking it. She knew he was a student, so it made her curious about what he's doing there. And the way he moved earlier, it made her wonder if he had become a thief too. Moments later, Chen bought a face mask for $10. He believed that it would keep him safe. He already walked around, and yet he had no clue how to make money. Someone approached him because he doesn't look like a local. He asked him who he was. The man introduced himself as a tour guide and boasted that he knew everything about the place, so he could ask him anything. So Chen asked if there was a palace nearby where he could get quick money. The man ushered him to the location. He was pretty happy too, because he had secured a head fee. They entered a dimmed building, and inside was an arena. The fighter punched the opponent, and the crowd went wild. Chen realized that it was an underground fight arena. The man told him that if he wanted to have fast cash, it was the right place. He also informed him that there's a special match that night, and the winner gets a bonus and part of the betting pool. Lots of Herald-level fighters showed up, and the matches were intense, and the bets were high, so it was the perfect time to join. Chen saw the guy in the ring, and he looked scary, but he's only at level 1. With the high winning prize, he thought about it. The man asked him if he wanted to play. If so, he could get him chips. Chen replied that he wanted the whole prize, so the man was left dumbfounded. The woman followed him inside the arena. The crowd couldn't believe that the kid was strong. She saw the arena, and was puzzled why he's there. His opponent told him not to get cocky just because he won 2 matches. This opponent boasted that he's the tournament's seeded player and his name was Yurif. He kept yapping, so Chen just punched him away, and in just 1 punch, the guy was knocked down. The crowd expressed that it gets boring since it only took those men a single punch to be defeated. Chen was aiming for that quick and clean victory, though. The next one looked smug, but before he could finish his sentence, he was out. The next one wanted to surrender, but Chen just sent him flying. The man in white suit behind the screen turned pale. They let him enter the match because he looked weak, but he didn't expect that outcome. A subordinate reported to this boss that the fighters they were going to sign all ran away, and the customers thought that they're rigging it and wanted refunds. If that keeps up, the arena will be in jeopardy. So no matter what, they couldn't let the kid walk off with the prize. He told his subordinate to bring out that guy. Chen tightened his fist and delivered the blow to the last challenger. Then he told the referee that he's going to claim the prize. The host insinuated that the crowd wants to see more. So, the management decided to give everyone what they truly wanted: a thrilling final match. Chen realized that they never intended to give him the money fairly. The final fighter was welcomed. Chen was surprised to see him. The man was restrained, and he was introduced as a mutant called Niflin. They brought out the monster that was restrained in a metallic plate, and they removed the restraints that kept it upright. The monster was laying flat on the ground, and they closed the arena again. Chen was confused on what's going on. There was something attached to the nape of the monster, and it released some air, and the capsule at the center of it was removed. The monster stood up. It looked creepy, like a skinny, tall goblin. A woman from the crowd hugged the man beside her because she was scared, while that man was relieved that he chose the back row because any closer and he would have peed on his pants. Though he still comforted the woman and uttered empty promises that he'll protect her. The woman who followed Chen was shocked to see that monster. In her head, she questioned why something like that was in there. She knew it was beyond Che's level, and with her ability, she could get him out safely, but it will expose her location and her plan would be discovered. She was facing a difficult dilemma. Chen was annoyed that the boss wasn't around for times like that. He could tell that the opponent was different from his previous opponents. In the first place, it doesn't look human, and being watched by it feels like a prey under a hunter's gaze, and just standing there was nerve-wracking. His instinct screamed that it was extremely dangerous. The monster's middle finger changed into a blade. It attacked him. It was fast that it had grazed him. Had he not dodged on reflex, he'd already be dead. It made him certain that it really wanted to kill him. So he knew he couldn't hold back. When it charged, he grabbed its arms and kept it away from his body. Still, he was being pushed back. He realized how strong and dangerous it was, so he needed to end the match quickly. He used borrowed power, so from E-2, he reached E-4 level. Because of that, he was able to push the monster backwards. He clasped his hands and raised it in the air, and hit the monster on the head. He checked if he was able to take it down. But to his surprise, the monster rose and attacked him. It scratched his shoulder. He couldn't believe that his strongest attack had no effect on it at all. Its skin is thick, and its claws were sharp, so close combat puts him at a disadvantage. He needed a weapon. The monster charged at him again. He broke the pointy finger to use that as his weapon. He gripped it tightly and slashed the monster using it. It was a scratch on the side of the neck. He was disappointed that it was too shallow, but he's glad to know that it feels pain. Chen also acknowledged that its strength doesn't match his, even after he increased level. If he could get close to it one more time, he knew he could finish it. Unexpectedly, the monster emitted smoke. He wondered if it was poisonous gas, but then he realized it was just regular mist. But to his surprise, he was scratched on the side of his torso out of the blue. He swung his weapon around, but no one was there. Then he got scratched on his back, but he couldn't see anything. The monster used the mist to wear him down. He knew it was scared that he'd find its weakness, so it's not making any big moves. And even if he survives the attack once, if the leverage time was up, he's still done for. That is why he couldn't let the match drag any longer. Our MC was determined to locate it. He willed himself to stay calm and focus on his senses. His eyes glowed brightly as he focused. He could see a faint green mist. That kept moving. Eventually, he found his target. And when it attacked him, he grabbed it. The monster was surprised. Chen cut off its arm. The monster bled a lot. He found his chance, so he stabbed it. But unexpectedly, his heart pulsed, and it gave him excruciating pain. He wondered if it was because he reached his limit. The monster saw the chance to swat away his weapon. Then it released its long tongue and hit him on the torso. Chen refused to give up, so he used the borrowed power again. He grabbed the tongue that had stuck on his torso and pulled the monster towards him. Then he opened his mouth using both hands. He spread it real wide. He gave all his force. The monster was in pain, until Chen broke the monster in half completely. The boss of the arena asked about the situation, but his subordinate couldn't see anything from the screen. Eventually, the fog cleared. The boss asked if the kid was dead, but when the boss saw the arena, he turned pale. The woman who stalked Chen wondered how it was possible. The crowd went wild as they cheered for the kid. Chen stood there holding the broken monster. Then he threw the corpse on the ground and glared at the guards in the arena. It spooked them. The boss of the arena asked how it was possible. He couldn't believe that the kid actually won, especially when he spent a fortune to buy that monster from the city. The host announced to congratulate the contestant for becoming the champion of the tournament. He was told to follow the staff to claim his prize money. He was ushered backstage and was given the prize money. The briefcase contained a total of 510,000 gold. He was about to grab it, but they closed it shut. The boss of the arena told him to wait. He told Chen that he changed his mind. Then he offered him to become their contracted fighter and compete according to his arrangements, and only then could he keep the 510,000 G, or he could take 110,000 G and leave. Chen glared at him and asked him what he meant by it. The boss complained that all his contracted fighters ran away and he killed his main event fighter. And he paid a fortune for that monster. He claimed that Chen broke the agreement, so he has to compensate him for his losses. Chen told him that he didn't stipulate any conditions for extra matches, and when he went up the stage, the boss of the arena told him something. That there should be no questions about identity, and going on stage means he automatically signs the life and death agreement. Thus, killing the opponent or being killed on stage carries no responsibility. This means that whether or not to kill the opponent is entirely up to the fighter. The boss of the arena was infuriated, so Chen made sure to claim 510,000 G and not a single coin less. The boss of the arena pointed a gun at him while telling him that he can't just walk out of there. Chen grabbed his hand and squeezed it, breaking the gun. He asked him if he really thinks he can stop him. The man yelled loudly because it left his fingers broken. He ordered his men to kill him. Several men in black suits surrounded Chen and pointed their guns at him. Chen sighed. The crowd heard the gunshots. The woman heard that it came from where Chen went. It was followed by a man being thrown out the window. The crowd was shocked. They asked if a movie was being filmed because it was over the top, jumping down from that height. The woman could already tell what's going on. Chen hit the man and made him lose a tooth. He faced them while holding the briefcase. Several gunshots were fired at him. He grabbed the head of the man who fired. Then he pushed him outside. After that, Chen escaped and the men chased after him. They sent people to block the back streets and exits. At this point, Chen's heart was hurting because he used too much borrowed power. Worst of all, the wounds on his body were worsening. To his surprise, someone grabbed him. It was the woman whom he met earlier. She covered his mouth while the men from the arena looked for him. They hid in a dark, narrow alleyway. When the men left, she let him go and told him that it was safe now. Chen remembered her. She told him to save his strength. She shared that she knew a secret passage where he can get out safely. She led him there and instructed him to go straight and he'll be out safely. She advised him to leave before they surrounded the whole area. He looked back at her, but she urged him to leave quickly. Chen thanked her. Then he started running. She made a call and got scolded that she went to the Blackwater district again. The person on the other line called her Lin N. She told her that she has something for Grandpa. She reported that she found something unusual. A few hours later, Chen arrived at his room. As soon as he's inside, he fell to his knees. He was in excruciating pain. He's already pale and sweating heavily. Then he fainted. His stats showed that he's at rank E level 2, with the ability Borrowed Force 1, and he still has 999 remaining wishes with 0 rewards. He has 510,000 to pay off his debt, which brings down the total debt to 99,808,912. There was a memory of someone in a hospital bed. This mother told his son that the illness might improve in 2 or 3 years, but she lied. Her illness won't get better in 2 or 3 years. And in fact, she only has 2 or 3 years at most left to live. She expressed that she really wants to see him again, to see him get married and have children, to slowly grow old, and to touch his face again. It was a video played on the cell phone. Then the mother apologized that she doesn't have any strength to stay with him any longer. She told him she loved him. The son cried on her side. The mother was already covered in blanket as the phrase, "especially loves you," echoes in the son's head. With that, Chen jerked his eyes open, tears streaming down his face. He was surprised, and when he looked out the window, the sun was already up. He recognized that it was Joe Chen's home, and he was still alive. It was thanks to that dream that he was able to wake up, even though so much time had passed. The boss asked him if he's already awake. He asked the boss where he had been the past few days. The boss replied that he has a lot of things to deal with in other places too. But when he came back, he found him passed out in there. He told him that he was in bad shape for 2 whole days, and he thought he wouldn't make it. He asked him to explain. The boss knew that he went to a place where people fight each other while he was away, and he used too much borrowed power to defeat a monster, almost getting a backlash from it. The boss scolded him since he already told him not to use his power excessively, and he used it recklessly while he was gone. He could have died. Chen reasoned that it wasn't reckless because it was out of necessity. He told him not to get too worked up. The boss asked him if he thinks that he could bring him back if he dies. It was impossible, because reviving him had already used up most of his power, and if he dies again, he won't be able to save him. He nagged at him that since he already experienced life and death, he should value the chance more. Chen was surprised that he'd say something like that, but he agreed with him that he should treasure the hard-won chance. The boss was glad that he understood. Then he mentioned that the half-human creatures that Chen mentioned doesn't sound like something from their world. Chen didn't bother about it because he's never going back to that hellish place again. He thought about the girl he met there but decided to forget about it because there was no one thinking about it. He decided to just focus on leveling up, and then he remembered the money. He opened the briefcase and was relieved to find the money still there. The boss asked him if that was the reason why he went to the arena. He explained that with that 510,000, he doesn't have to worry about paying his debt until the exchange meeting was over. That way, he can focus entirely on leveling up. And then, before he heads to school, he has to treat the wound on his abdomen. The small injuries healed on its own, but the one in the abdomen didn't. He needs to go to the hospital, then there's school training, and before all that, he had to go to the bank to deposit the money. He complained how busy he was, in the hospital. The doctor told him that it was nothing serious. Although it's a penetrating wound, it was healing well. He was told to keep it clean and not get hurt again. The doctor told him that healing that fast wasn't something normal people could do. So, the doctor asked if he was a prophet, and he replied yes. Then the doctor informed him that prophets get injured often and their hospital has a promotion. If he gets a card, he could enjoy discounts later. Chen refused it and expressed that he wanted the regular medicine. The doctor gave him a special anti-inflammatory. Chen was relieved that the monster's tongue wasn't poisonous. He felt relaxed, but his eyes itched. The doctor gave him the medicine and told him to just pay it outside. He saw that there's light in the bottle, so he asked about it, but the doctor told him that he doesn't see any lights and it was just a regular anti-inflammatory for prophets. He got confused because he could clearly see it, and it didn't seem like an illusion. He wondered if he's the only one who can see it. The doctor thinks he might be hallucinating from stress. He explained that it's normal for prophets to be stressed, then he tried to sell him a counseling program. After that, he exited the room. He could see medicines and people glowing. He wondered if it's because he's a prophet. The difference between ordinary people and prophets is whether they have been enhanced by star energy. He wondered if it was the light given off by the star energy. He wondered if it was because of the fight. If that was the case, it would be a huge deal since the key to a prophet's level up is how much star energy they can absorb. And if he can really sense star energy, it would be much easier to absorb it. Someone caught his attention. The man passes by. This person's star energy was extraordinary. The man glanced back because he felt that he was observed, but he knew there weren't any strong people there. This man answered a call, and the person on the other line asked him why he's in the hospital. He was reminded of their mission, which is to find the alien star. The long green-haired man replied that he rarely travels, so he would stay in that country for a while and catch up with their little princess. The person on the line liked that, because according to their boss's prophecy, the alien star is a key point in changing history. Before they knew whether it was an enemy or ally, he was told to contact them first and act accordingly. The man commented that his boss worries too much. He stated that if the alien star was really an enemy, he'd personally destroy it. This person was Amir, an A-rank thief, at the academy. The principal talked to Chen because just a few days after entering the special class, he didn't answer calls, didn't reply to any messages, and skipped classes. In Chen's head, he just got back and yet he's already caught. The principal was well informed. He apologized and explained that something urgent came up at home, so he wasn't able to inform the school in time. He expressed that he was willing to accept any punishment. The principal clarified that it wasn't what he meant. He just wanted to ask if nothing bad happened to him. Chen replied that there was nothing like that. He asked if he's worried that he'd back out of the exchange match. The principal firmly replied no because he trusted him regarding that. He's more concerned that Chen was hiding some kind of hardship that he doesn't dare to speak of. He told him that since he's a good prophet, even if he hadn't agreed to the match, the school would still do its best to support him. He told him that the purpose of the academy is to nurture excellent prophets, and that will never change. Chen nodded and assured him that he's fine. He promised to give his all in the exchange match and win honor for the school. Since that was all, the principal told him to return to class. He also informed him that his friend was so worried about him that they even came to his office. Chen was confused, though, at class. Jaru placed his arm around Chen's shoulder and asked him where he went. Xiaoxia added that even the teachers don't know what happened. They were all worried about him. He replied that things were busy at home. Jaru brought up the topic about combat techniques he mentioned before. He gave him a card while telling him that he and Xiaoxia scraped together 300,000 for him to use first, then he can just pay them back once he has the money later. Chen was surprised. He just casually mentioned it, but he didn't expect them to take it seriously. He told them that he found the technique wasn't worth it, so he decided not to buy it. He thanked them anyway. Jaru told him that he'd find something better. Unexpectedly, someone called out to Chen. Wenhao was blushing when he approached him. He admitted that he overheard them say that he was short on money, so he gave him his card, which has 50,000 savings. He hoped that he didn't mind that it wasn't much. Then, about him losing the match, he told Chen that if there's something he wants him to do, he could just say it. Chen told him that there's no need to act like a servant or anything. Xiaoxia scolded him for butting in their team's business. She asked if he's scheming something. He replied that there's nothing like that. He just wanted to apologize to Chen before since he thought he got into the special class through connections, and afterward Mr. Zhang explained his situation. With that, he admits his loss wholeheartedly. He stated that Chen made him realize the gap between them, so he wanted to be friends. Xiaoxia whispered in Chen's ear that he was the first to defeat Wenhao. She asked if they should let him join. He replied that he doesn't mind. Xiaoxia told Wenhao that if he's willing to be the fourth member, then they will accept him. He replied that ranking doesn't matter to him. Jaru stated that to celebrate their new teammate, Wenhao should pour him a glass of water. Wenhao replied that if there's anyone who gets water, it should be Chen, since Jaru lost to him anyways. Jaru couldn't believe that he just joined and yet he's already acting like a boss. Chen watched them while thinking that they're all such good teammates. He felt lucky to still be alive otherwise. He would have never met them. At the treadmill machine, Chen trained hard. In his head, the leveling system was simple. The body just needs to absorb the star energy, and the more star energy absorbed, the higher the level. High-intensity exercise increases absorption efficiency, and that's why most prophets were always doing PE classes. But the absorption rate was trickier than he expected. He already wore equipment to maximize training intensity, but his absorption rate was still low. If the star energy in the body wasn't absorbed in time, it will slowly leak out and be wasted. It is no wonder some people stay level 1 their whole lives. At that rate, he'll never reach level 4 before the competition. He knew he needed a way to boost his absorption rate. Jaru approached him and expressed that free training was getting boring. He invited Chen to spar to make things exciting. Chen had an AHA moment. He recalled that during the match, it was only because he had to fight that monster that he accidentally forced himself to grasp star energy observation. He told Jaru that if they're going to spar, he has an idea that will need everyone's help. The center light was turned on. Xiaoxia used Izumo Palm, while Jaru used Rending Fist. They fought Chen together. Chen liked how they sync. After that, it left those two exhausted. They have been at it for almost an hour, so they suggested that they rest. Xiaoxia expressed that when he first said 1 versus 2, she thought that he was joking. She didn't expect that he meant it. Jaru claimed that the method was amazing. Without worrying about winning or losing, he could throw himself completely in battle, and he even dared to try new moves. Next round was Wenhao's turn. Chen realized that he was right. That kind of all-out battle increases absorption rate, and with their good foundations, once the absorption rate increases, they would level up quickly. He thought of trying a new method while his rate was already high. To ensure safety for ordinary people, the star energy in normal supplements was diluted. If the physical quality was average and absorption was low, even drinking thousands of bottles won't raise a level. But from his observation, borrowed star energy was 100 times more concentrated than supplements. With his current ability, absorbing it directly would definitely make his body explode. But if control the flow that he could absorb, he thought that he could make the borrowed star energy permanent. To level up quickly, he thinks it was worth a try. He used borrowing power. He didn't realize until then how absurd the amount he could borrow. But it made sense since it leveled him up twice in a row. He slowly controlled the flow and compressed it as small as possible. Then he absorbed it. The energy was all gathered in his heart. He didn't expect even a small amount to be so overwhelming. His whole body was filled up instantly. Even restraining it desperately, he still had absorbed too much. At that rate, his body will burst, so he had to release it. When he did, everyone was shocked. At first, they thought it was an earthquake, but soon after, they realized it was him. Their jaws dropped when they saw that his star energy suddenly skyrocketed. The boss appeared and asked him what was happening. He couldn't believe that he absorbed his energy. Chen expressed that he tried to control the amount he gave him down to what he could handle, and luckily, it worked. The boss was in disbelief that he absorbed the star energy and didn't die. It made him think that he truly is his destiny point. A brief description about star energy supplements. It is made from materials containing star energy such as star grass, star crystals, etc., with various magical effects such as replenishing star energy, enhancing physical strength, and healing injuries. Chen asked him if he said something. The boss said nothing and expressed that he's glad that he's not dead. Mr. Zhang arrived in panic and asked what happened and if they were okay. Xiaoxia reported that it was Chen. Jaru explained that they finished sparring and were resting when Chen suddenly became like that. Mr. Zhang couldn't believe that strong star energy was overflowing. He instructed Wenhao to bring the measuring device. It showed that he's at level 3. Everyone's jaw dropped. It was the first level 3 in their school in ages. He hurriedly left to inform the principal at once. Xiaoxia inquired how he leveled up. She wanted him to teach her. He replied that he was just training like they did just then, and she'll eventually level up soon. He didn't expect that it would cause commotion. Because of that, he took a mental note to try it at home instead. Jaru believed him since he felt so pumped up after sparring. Xiaoxia confirmed if they spar more, they would level up like him. Wenhao told them to stop resting so they could train since it was his turn now. While they were sparring, Chen noticed that the boss didn't curse at him this time. The boss replied that he got used to him, and if it was just to level up quickly, he won't say anything anymore. After all, he needed him to get stronger too. Chen told him there's nothing to worry since he still has a lot of stored star energy that he hasn't used. Once his body absorbs it slowly, he can level up again to level 4. The boss just watched him in silence. Time flew by and it turned July 12th, 2026. There were only 55 days left until the exchange tournament. Chen trained hard. Another day passed by and he trained with the others. Days flew by with him just focusing on leveling up, until eventually, September 6th, 2026 came. It was the day of the exchange match, at the exchange tournament venue. There were so many people. Xiaoxia couldn't believe that she's actually standing on that stage. She shared that if her mom knew, she would cry from excitement. Jiaru heard that more students were participating that year than ever. Wenhao asked Chen if he's ready for the level 4 matches. The gap between level 3 and level 4 wasn't that small. He felt bad, since if they had more time together, they might have been able to fight together. Chen reassured him and reminded him that participation was enough and losing or winning doesn't matter. And if it was dangerous, he'll just forfeit. Since the rest areas for level 3 and level 4 were in separate areas, they had to split up. Jaru told him that if they finish early, they will come cheer for him. Xiaoxia wished him luck. He waved goodbye. The time for him has come. He decided to go get ready. At the VIP stands, the principal expressed that it was his first time in the VIP area. Mr. Zhang replied that it made sense since their school only ever joined level 2 tournaments before, so they never got that treatment. A person arrived and happily greeted him. It was old Wang. They shook hands. Wang Mingyuan, the principal of Yunxiang, congratulated Hu Wei, the principal of Leitian. Mingyuan expressed that he didn't expect Wei to bring level 3 and level 4 students in such a short time. He replied that it's all thanks to his students' hard work. He just did his best to meet their needs. He also thanked him for notifying him about the changes. Mingyuan expressed that the new rules that the central authority had planned are planning to increase subsidies for winning schools, and to get those subsidies, competition would definitely be fierce. Someone arrived. He commented that it was no wonder it was noisy because the country bumpkins were there for the first time. Wei got offended, but Mingyuan told him to calm down. He informed him that the men were the principals that have won in the past tournaments, so it's better not to clash with them. Wei replied that it was in the past, and the tournament hasn't started yet, and no one knows who will win this time. The principal of Shuogang Academy, which was the champion last year, was Li Tuo. He replied that, as expected, the more useless the dog, the louder it barks. He told them to enjoy their time, and if they don't remember the scene well, it would be too bad because they won't get another chance. We scoffed in response. Mr. Zhang whispered to him that it was their first time at such a high-level tournament, and he's worried if the kids would be okay. Wei asked him what he thought of the students. Mr. Zhang replied that they were amazing, especially Chen. Since his talents weren't worse than those drugged-up prodigies from elite schools. Wei agreed, and replied that the only thing they needed to do was to believe in them. A black-haired woman with eyeglasses was on the stands holding a card saying, Lei Tenuo. It was her first time in a place like that, so she was nervous. It made her wonder if Chen was okay. When she first heard Chen was competing, she couldn't believe it. A week ago. Ever since Chen transferred to the special class, she hasn't seen him for a long time. She doesn't know how he's been. But now he's the school's superstar. He even represents the school in a level 4 tournament. She expected that he wouldn't even bother talking to someone like her from an ordinary class. She tripped. Fortunately, someone caught her. Chen asked her if she was okay. She was surprised to see him. She thanked him for helping her and asked why he's there. He replied that he saw her pass, so he just came to say hi. She expressed that she thought after he joined the special class, he didn't want to be friends with her anymore. That was nonsense, since to him, friends are friends that don't change because of status. It made her smile. She was glad because, just as she expected, he's still the same. She had faith that he'll do well in the match. At the present moment, the contestants were called on stage. Chen wore black shirt, pants, wristbands, and shoes. He looked cold and sophisticated. The class rep looked forward to seeing him. Chen's current stats is at E-Class Level 4, with borrowed Power 1 ability. He has 999 wishes and 0 rewards. Currently, he has no debt due, but the total of his remaining debt was at 99,808,912.
Thank you all for watching. Please watch this next Giga Chad video, and I'll see you guys next time. Also, support the channel by joining the Summon Club membership. You can also support by just liking the video and being awesome.